Welcome to day 13, part 2. In part 1 we proved the product rule. That is, we consider a function that equals the product of two functions, that is, f of x equals u of x times v of x. And we calculated the derivative of this function. And we got that its derivative equals u prime of x times v of x plus u of x times v prime of x. And this formula is called the product rule. This is a very important rule that will allow us to calculate many derivatives. And what I want to do today in this video is to solve some examples. That is, we're going to find some actual derivatives of some functions using this formula. As a first example, let's consider this function that we already saw in part 1. F of x equals x sine of x. In this case, we're going to define u of x as a function that equals x and v of x as sine of x. To apply the product rule, we need to know the derivatives of each of these functions. In this case, this is easy. U prime of x is the derivative of x, that's 1. V prime of x is the derivative of sine of x, that's cosine of x. The product rule tells us that the derivative of f is given by this formula. So we only need to replace these values in this formula. We get f prime of x equals 1 times sine of x. Here 1 is u prime of x, and sine of x is v of x plus x times cosine of x. Here x is u of x and cosine of x is v prime of x. And you can write this as sine of x plus x cosine of x. And that's the answer. This is the derivative of this function. That was easy. Here we have another example. Here we have f of x equals x times sine of x times cosine of x. This is the product of three functions. And we're going to show that we can, even in this case, we can apply the product rule. In this case, I'm going to define u of x as the function x sine of x. And remember that this is the function we just derived in example 1. And I'm going to define v of x as cosine of x. We need to find the derivatives of these functions. U prime of x we found in example 1. We found that the derivative of this function is sine of x plus x cosine of x. And v prime of x is minus sine of x, because v of x is cosine of x. So the product rule tells us this, and we only need to replace, and doing that we get f prime of x equals sine of x plus x cosine of x times cosine of x. Here what is between these parentheses is u prime of x, and cosine of x is v of x, then plus x sine of x times minus sine of x. Here x sine of x is u of x, and minus sine of x is v prime of x. And we can write this as sine of x times cosine of x plus x cosine square of x minus x sine square of x. And this is our answer. So these were just two simple examples, and in this example we saw that you can apply the product rule even when you have the product of three functions. You simply need to define a function as one of your functions as the product of two of the functions, and here we use the fact that we already calculated this derivative, but if you don't know this derivative, you can calculate it using the product rule. So that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.